Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Not Content Podcast. We are continuing our run with John Woo November as we will be discussing two of his Hong Kong movies and two of his American movies. We are discussing the second of two Hong Kong movies. Um, I would classify this as possibly the greatest action movie of all time. I am not somebody who likes to work in hyperbole, but I have to say, after watching The Killer and then watching this, this makes The Killer look like an amateur hour production because of the set pieces that are executed perfectly throughout. And you also, in addition to Chow Yun-fat, you also have the great Tony Leung, who is a legend in his own right. And if you've only seen him in Shang-Chi, you are not necessarily getting the full picture of who he is as a performer. He is somebody who has been really good in a lot of Wong Kar-wai movies, and to see him in this was a real treat. This was not something that was this commercially successful, but it has come to be recognized as one of the greatest action movies of all time, and recently just came out on a reliable 4K in the United States for the first time. As you all know, please leave a 4 or 5 star review to help get those algorithms going. You can also find us on YouTube. Please click the bell icon for notifications, like, and subscribe. My co-host, as always, is Brian at Brian DeBrain at various platforms. And Brian, all I can say about this movie is this is something where coming into, you know, everybody has their list of shame, right? They have the movies that they have not seen that they really want to. And two of the biggest ones at the top of my list were Once Upon a Time in the West and Hard Boiled, and not to mention the Fistful of Dollars trilogy, which I also crossed off my list. But this is a big one, and part of the reason that I haven't really been able to see this is because it's just been very difficult to find a reliable version, and finally it is going to be released, or it has been released on home video. It came out digitally a few months ago, and this is a movie that I very much was anticipating. And Brian, all I could say is this is absolutely one of the best action movies that has ever been made. Period. End of story.
Totally agree. And I'm one who like the kill. I kind of like the killer a little more because the melodrama. And there's little context issues I have with the hard boiled script, but other than that, it's like a 9 versus a 9.5, so they're very much close together, right? But in this case, I think hard boiled is very much focusing on the action sequences and the set pieces and like this idea of like let's build a hospital because clearly that's not a real hospital, folks. Because you can't possibly shoot up a hospital like that and just leave it as is. They had to have built it. And my goodness, they made every use of every room in that hospital. They made use of every window in that hospital. I mean, you talk about like Police Story at the end of Police Story, like they make the joke about so much broken glass and so many broken windows in that mall sequence. This is multiplied by like 10. And I think there's at least 50 broken windows in this movie. And people just jumping and doing all kinds of crazy bumps all over the place that you can't do with CGI, folks, because you got a bunch of extras on set which leads to the authentic, feel of the movie. So really, like the action sequences in this are kind of one of a kind and almost like a last of a dying breed. The only time you can see something like this is a John Wick movie, but that's more a controlled kind of set, less people involved, but still kind of have like 3 or 4 people on set. But in this case, it's like 20 people on set, and you can't really do that nowadays unless you're a big time director who can, do their own thing and get their credibility and a big time director can get away with that. In this case, you're not going to see this much nowadays. So it's a real treat to watch, especially, well, the version I watched was on Tubi, so it's not exactly 4K, but for what it was clear enough and better than the VHS and DVD versions from before. Um, but yeah, this has been on my list to watch for a long time. I watched The Killer a long time ago. Didn't have a chance to watch Hard Boiled until now, until we decided to do this Woovember month. So it was a good timing. And I really enjoyed it, man. And I really loved the performance of Tony Leung because, like, I don't know. I mean, we know the whole thing about not smoking cigarettes, and it's not cool to make cigarettes look cool on screen. But god damn it, Jerome, he looks so cool smoking that cigarette, just looking up in the sky, contemplating what to do right when his crew that he's supposed to be loyal
All
to
I'm
is
gonna
about to get
say
shot
is
up.
I am not a smoker. I don't approve of smoking, but I think that an actor is only truly a good actor if they can look cool smoking on screen. I actually think that that is a really
I
big indicator
that sounds
of
so
whether
bad to
you're a good
say out
actor.
loud, man. It sounds so
It
bad, but
does, but
like
I think there's a
I
lot of
know,
truth.
I agree because it's a part of acting. It's like the character, like not be able to talk on screen and still illustrate, and you said it last week, like he's one of the best actors to act with their eyes, and he's doing that friggin' portion of this movie. And not only that, I got to point out that like he understands the duality of a role, very much so, because like it's very much a Clark Kent
He's done it in
Superman.
so many movies at this point. I mean, you look at
Wow, really? Okay, I'm not because I'm this is the first time I've actually seen
I
him
mean,
outside of like a
he
Marvel
was
role.
in Infernal Affairs. I mean, that is a
That's
huge
true, and I
like
forgot. But then I saw that in 2006, so it's hard to forget. But that's true. I forgot about that as well. But because all I remember is the twist at the end is like spoiler alert. In The Departed, both the cop Matt Damon and Leo DiCaprio die in the 2003 version, Infernal Affairs or whatever it was. He actually lives, the bad guy. So that kind of leads to 2 and 3 because there's actually an Infernal Affairs 2 and 3. But that's a little side
there
tangent.
is an Infernal Affairs trilogy. Yes, that is absolutely the case. I mean, to me, when I think about this movie, I will always go to the hospital sequence. But before we really talk about that, I mean, just the relationship the Chow Yun Fat and Tony Leung's characters that they have, it is incredible what they do on screen. I mean, this to me, I mean, this is the Hong Kong equivalent of getting Al Pacino and Robert De Niro together, and I think that they absolutely deliver in spades. And I don't think this movie works without the other. Like, I think you absolutely have to have both of these guys in this movie. Obviously, Chow Yun Fat is the veteran of this movie, so very much in the De Niro role and Tony Leung in the Pacino role, and it's amazing to watch because like Tony Leung is not as associated with action movies, like he's been in a bunch of them, but I don't necessarily think that that's how he gets branded like Chow Yun Fat does. But I mean, he delivers in that role, and it doesn't work. Like it doesn't work if he's not good in the action performance. I mean, his acting is great, but if he's not good in the action, I mean, it's just not going to work.
And we've talked about this trope before. Whenever two guys get together and team up in a movie like this, they got to fight each other first, and that's exactly what happened. Not only that, I believe Tony Leung shoots China Fat in the arm at one point, and he's like, "You shot me." And at least in this great boat sequence as well. So there's a lot of great set pieces, not just the hospital. That boat sequence is good, and of course the tea leave. What do you call it? I guess drinking area, restaurant area. Shoot up at the beginning. And then just a lot of good set pieces all over the place, but also good setup. Like I love that garage scene as well. That was, I mean, you want to talk about a great sequence. I mean, that was much shorter than the hospital sequence, but man, it's like I got Chow Yun Fat lowering down on this harness, and he's swinging around with a machine gun just in circles and circles. And I don't know how Tony Leung avoids getting shot, but it's just one of those magical things. Everyone gets shot but Tony Leung. But man, let's kind of transition. I think we got to talk about Mr. Chow, right? Like, I got to get
We
his
do have
name.
to talk about Mr. Chow. What do you have to say about Mr. Chow?
Well, I mean, his performance is really interesting because of his race. I think because he is a half Chinese, half British Hong Kong, and I did a little research on him, and I kind of relate to his, because I'm a mixed race person myself. So I was kind of curious because as soon as I saw him, it's like, oh, this guy's definitely a mixed race. You're Asian. What's going on here? I looked him up. He's actually like a really prolific actor in Hong Kong throughout all these years. He was even in Mummy 3, which I kind of blocked out of my head. So that tells you something.
So when you
But
say
I guess
Mummy
because
3, you mean the Scorpion King, or you mean the
oh, the third
third Mummy?
Mummy without Rachel Weisz. And speaking of, we're getting Mummy 4, which I predicted. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, we're getting Rachel Weisz back. I mean, that's like to me, that's the actual important part. Like, if you're going to tell me that they're not going to bring her back, then I don't care.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
But all I'm saying
But
is
man,
they need to bring in Superman to be his kid. That has been the fan casting for years. That is what needs to happen.
we will see. We will see. But in terms of Mr. Chow, it's like I don't know. It could because it's also 1991, 92, and the way he's dressed, it kind of reminded me of like a Paul Heyman young yuppie type trying to take over. And if you're familiar with WCW terms, it's like very much what that Paul Heyman Paulie Dangerously character was, right? When he recruited all the bad guys, he wanted to take out the top stars, right? This guy wanted to take out the top triad, which was his enemy. which they did then recruits Tony Leung. But because of that, it's very much that Paul Heyman young guy trying to come to the top. And even his own henchman was like, "Dude, you're a little too like crazy." Because there's this big scene at the end where his henchman turns on him, which is a great turn, by the way, because you don't expect it. He actually has morals
It's
because of
really
the
good
fact that he
stuff.
was, yeah, because of the fact that Chow shoots and murders a bunch of like not crippled, but like recovering people with broken limbs and that kind of thing. And just it was a massacre. And it's totally heartbreaking and brutal. And you just see it on the face of this henchman who has one eye in the movie, by the way, and still again acting with one eye, and just does an amazing turn. He gets shot up, but still, like it's a great moment, great character moment because you don't expect that of a heel. So this Mr. Chow character just brings it out of everybody, basically, um, like in various ways too, and just
I
the way he's
mean,
acting and performing, he's
without
great.
Anthony Wong, I mean, it's just a very different movie, right? Like, again,
Yeah,
if this is
yeah,
going to
very much so.
be if this is going to be one of the best action movies of all time, then everything has to click. Like this, his role is not as important, and the movie is still probably really good if his performance is kind of meh. But the fact that it isn't elevates the movie all that much more, and it really makes you root for our protagonists all the more because he's such a dick.
And I think he outshines the heel from the killer, which I forget his name, but he was like a crazy looking mafia guy. Again, wanted to take out the competition. His uncle in that case.
I mean,
In this
he's part
case,
of his troupe, so to
right.
speak. So yeah, it makes sense.
But this guy, Mr. Chow, he's very much, he stands out because the look obviously, but he still like presents himself really well on camera. Has that like kind of stoic like approach to him a little bit, but when he like lets loose, he really lets loose on camera. So he's got that kind of range. So he's really great in this role. So I was really kind of surprised that they got a great heel for this to counteract because that was kind of one of the weaknesses in the killer is like you kind of know like the baby faces outweigh the heels, right? It's kind of like Hogan in like 86, 80, or maybe like before Andre turned heel is kind of what I'm saying. Once Andre turns heel, you got that big heel, and that big heel is kind of Mr. Chow in this case. So yeah, just great stuff there. And of course, um, the female role in this case, I forget her name. She does a good job. It's just
I
like
mean, she's probably the weakest
she
link.
didn't like
She's
have a moment
fine,
where
but she's
like
not.
she should have killed more
Teresa
people.
Moe is her name, and this is pretty much the role that she seems to be best known for.
And there's a great moment where
Unless it makes it.
yeah.
She's been very active though, so I do have to give her credit. So she has been nominated a bunch for the for some of these Hong Kong Film Awards. She has been nominated for Best Supporting Actress and Best Actress. So I will withdraw my statement. She is definitely somebody who has a lot of credibility outside of this movie, which is good to see.
Okay, so she has a great moment where she kills that one dude who like insults her and whatever. But she should have just went out and just killed more people. I felt like she should have just had her moment and just get a gun and just go like ballistic. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. She had to be more motherly, and I get that. But I think nowadays you could have
And
turned that scene
if you're going
around.
to a John Woo movie, if you're going to a John Woo movie for great female performances, you're going to be missing everything. You're not.
Well, at
You're
least we could have gave her 5 more minutes kicking ass because I felt like they were building up to that, and she only killed the one dude, and it was very
not.
satisfying. But like in Lord of the Rings, right? When I forget her name when she kills the wraith at the end, and I'm no man. At least she was killing other orcs up to that point as well. It wasn't just. So I wanted to see more of that, but time and and also the budget on this was kind of restrictive as well because apparently they needed a lot of sourcing because of his last movie not being so successful. So I guess that was another issue, but they kind of had to
And
put it
that's another
together, and it was a
reason they
tight
came
shoot.
to the United States is because of the budget concerns and stuff. So makes a lot of sense. I mean, you can absolutely see why this movie is so well regarded, but you can also, when you read more into it, you can also see why he did leave for the United States in a world where, like, this movie is even more successful, and maybe he's getting a blank check to make more Hong Kong movies. Maybe he stays, but he comes to the States, and I mean, look, we're not going to talk about Broken Arrow, even though Delroy Lindo is in it, and I kind of want to. I may just watch that as a bonus, but I don't think his American output comes even close to this movie and The Killer. Like, I think these are two incredible back-to-back movies, and then he really doesn't ever hit this again.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is like we'll see, and it's like a quick transition too. Like even though I enjoy what we're going to talk about next week, a lot of the parts of Hard Target again, Hard Boiled, Hard Target. I just thought it was kind of weird. He went from hard to hard on back-to-back movies, but anyway,
I mean, he's
uh,
very masculine, man. What do you want me to
yeah,
say?
I know. But even in that, like, it had good like action sequences, and we'll talk about that. But again, it's the script that holds it back because he has probably no control over the script. At least in these cases, like in the Hong Kong world, he's probably got a lot more
Yeah,
control.
that's how it comes across. Like he doesn't seem like a writer, and that I think can sometimes be a negative thing. Because I think it does like you are so reliant on the scripts. I feel like Ridley Scott is also another director who's very script reliant. Like if he gets a good script, like the movie's gonna be really good. Something like The Martian, Alien, Blade Runner. If the movie's bad, like some of the mixed bag Alien movies, like it's gonna be very very dicey. So when you that's what happens with some of these iconic directors is that they're not as inclined to be good writers, and that can really inhibit them.
Yeah, that kind of separates, the pack a little bit. Because, I would say that Quentin Tarantino's on a more of a, not a much higher level, but like probably in the next level in
I
terms of
mean, to
like
me,
the tiers, so to speak, because he's a
I
writer.
I think Tarantino is a much better writer than he is a director, and I think his directing is good, but I think his strength is always in his scripts, and I would love to see like him just because I know he is obsessed with only doing 10 movies, which is so stupid at this point because it just feels like we're never going to get it. But I would really love to see him like just be a writer because I think that's where his strength lies. And I would say the same thing about Kevin Smith as well. Kevin Smith's strength is much more in his writing than his directing, and that's probably a much more obvious example. But with someone like John Woo, who like part of the thing is that the scripts aren't great, but then you get the hospital scene. So we have to talk about the hospital scene because it basically takes up the last 40 minutes of the movie, and it is built up so well, and it's very violent. It's very graphic at times. There's a lot of random randos getting shot and killed, but it
Explosion,
is
explosion, 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 explosion.
it's
Literally.
it is those remember when Ring of Honor had those Dragon Gate matches over WrestleMania weekend and the crowd would chant "Please don't stop." I mean
Yep, that's it.
that
That's
is
it. That's exactly what this was.
that's
And
what this action sequence
it
was.
was
It
like
just
mini
kept going.
segments connected because it was like, oh no, the babies, and then it becomes a whole segment about the babies. And once the babies are out, it's like, okay, we got a final showdown. And it just all built up until the big explosion because obviously Chow's smart enough to plant explosives in a public hospital because he can clearly get away with it somehow, or he thinks he can get away with it. I think that's the other thing I like about his performance is that he thinks that no matter what he does, he's just going to get away with it, right? That's his mentality. Up until he
I
dies, he
mean,
thinks he's going to get away
absolutely.
with it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I
that's
mean, I think
yeah,
to me, this is the kind of thing that a lot of directors I think a lot of directors try to do these extended action sequences and they don't work nearly as well. Like the magic of this sequence is how well it works, even though a 35-minute action scene is ridiculous. Like it works because of the sequences and because of the characters, and it works because of the melodrama. And like you said, I don't think the melodrama is nearly as prominent here because there's the relationship is less homoerotic. Our female character is much less relevant, so you're not really getting the melodrama in this. And I'm not going to say that it makes the movie better, but I think for what this movie is trying to do, again, the name of the movie is Hard Boiled. So I think having that harder edge is a good thing. And I think that's why that ending sequence works so well is that, there is that edge to it that maybe the killing probably could not get to this place, but this movie is able to get to this place because of what's been established previously. And John Woo is a much better director. It feels like.
for sure. Um, and I also wanted to point out that like this, uh, I guess this is the first time I've heard of the what's it called, the tequila slammer. And I know that sounds weird, but I just never have ever seen it in public. So I guess this is like a minor type of drink, but I'm intrigued because I'm very suspicious anytime you mix Sprite or 7 Up with any kind of alcohol, it's either Diet Coke, like Coke, and that's it for me. Maybe a Dr. Pepper, but man, a Sprite with like a tequila is so I don't know. How do you feel about that in general? I know this is like an old drink, but I've never seen it.
I mean,
It's got to burn.
it has it real. Oh boy, but it's funny because tequila like makes your stomach feel really crappy, and I guess clearly they are like going for this
What
vibe
it's
of
like?
yeah,
Is it like his spinach? Is that what it's supposed to be? Like it's supposed to
I
be him like
guess,
because but we
but
don't see. Well, I guess he drinks at work like one or two times, I think, but he's not drinking while he's
right.
shooting.
I
But
mean,
it's
I guess
implied that he's drinking on the job.
I think of Seven Up and ginger ale being very old fashioned anyway, because if your stomach is bothering you, you're not going to drink pop anymore. Like it feels like you're going to drink kombucha tea, or you're going to have water or Tums or something like that. Because the other drink, and I do remember having these back in my college early 20s, a 7 and 7. Do you know what a 7 and 7 is?
What is that? Seven up to what? Seven.
Seagram's, Seven Crown, and Seven.
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
It's
I'm a
just an
Jack and
okay
Coke guy, so I'm more simple than that. But it's just crazy how he's just drinking this really hard drink
drink.
and then plays the
Well, he's hard
clarinet.
boiled, Brian, so it only
I
makes
get
sense.
it. I get the title, and then of course the joke like that comes from Family Guy. He said the title of the movie in the name, and then, of course Mr. Chow says it right at the end of the movie before he gets killed, and I immediately went, he said the name of the movie, and then because I was waiting for it, like are they going to say hard boiled? Are they going to say hard boiled? And then he's like, you hard boiled cop. Like it was like that Scooby
I
Doo
mean, the
moment where
thing
like
is
you
like
know what I mean?
sometimes I hate when they say the title of the movie. I mean, this is perfect. Like he literally said it right at the end, like as kind of a little button, and it's amazing. I mean, this is a 10 out of 10 for me, man. Like this is genuinely one of the best action movies of all time. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen, and I think that this is definitely something that would go into like the action movie pantheon, right? At the top of the list. I mean, to me, this is the standard by which almost all action movies should be measured, because it's clear that John Woo knows what he's doing, and you get a great action scene. If you're going to do an action movie, it needs to be at you know, you're never going to get to this level, but it should aspire to be as good as this, because this is magic right here. And I would say the same thing about westerns and Once Upon a Time in the West. Like I think that is the pinnacle of all westerns, and I don't think you're ever going to get a western as good as that. And so I think it's interesting that this year that we've kind of really discussed two standard bearers for their genres.
And it all kind of fits together, right? Because one, or John Woo obviously looked up to Sergio Leone because it's on record that he studied American and Italian westerns, and obviously that influenced the style. My one criticism about this movie is the context, because at first I was thinking like in the movie Tony Leung turns on his uncle, but he's just named Uncle, which threw me off. I was like, because I was texting Jerome like, oh my god, he shot his uncle, oh my god, he killed his cousins, and then once you get the context of it all, it's like, oh no, they're just triad members, and they just call the
Yeah,
leader Uncle.
that might be a translation issue
See,
too.
that
Like,
was the thing. I was like, damn, that because if it really was his cousins and his real uncle, I think that would have added a lot more to the melodrama. But again,
perhaps.
like this has less to the melodrama than the killer, so that's what threw me off. And then once I figured out, oh, he's just undercover, and that his name is Uncle How or Uncle Ho or whatever, and it was just like the terminology and the respect or whatever. It's not really his uncle, so that's where I got a little confused. But at the end, it's clear I mean, he does, he shoots himself in the stomach and somehow gets away, but he goes to Greenland or no Iceland, which I think they got again confused because again in the '90s I don't think they knew that Greenland's the one with ice and Iceland's the one that's green. So yeah, but he's it's a happy ending. So somehow he survived all that. But that's my one criticism. So it's kind
I
of like
mean,
right
compared to
now,
the killing, yes, it is. I mean, I don't know that it's a totally happy ending, but it
right?
is. It
So right
is
now for me
compared to
it's
the
like
killing.
Empire, New Hope, right? Like to me those are like kind of even always for me. But one time, depending on the day, one can flip over the other. Right now, I'm kind of killer, slightly over hard boiled, but it's so close. Only
I mean,
because
look,
I
to
think I have much
me,
clarity on the script.
The Killer is an amazing action movie. It is a hell of a movie on its own. And my praise of Hard Boiled should not be seen to denigrate The Killer, because I think The Killer is really good on its own merits. And again, I think it is the origin story for so many of the tropes that we associate with John Woo. So I think it works out. Like I think that that movie really works out. To me, what makes Hard Boiled so much better is you have Tony Leung. You have the hospital scene by itself. You also again have that harder edge, so that you don't even have to rely on the melodrama, which which again I don't necessarily think the melodrama is bad, but I think when you're parsing like the two great movies, I think that little nitpick I think kind of affects my view of it. But again, we are talking about two incredible action movies that should be seen by
for sure. And in terms of transition to next week's episode, like I mentioned, it's hard. It's hard boiled from no. It's from hard boiled to hard target. So it's hard all over the
this is going
place.
to be a very unusual transition because part of the issue
Yeah,
is like we've already done like his pinnacle, like we've already hit his like zenith in terms of the movies that he's directed. Like these are his two best movies. So now we're just going to be kind of assessing his American stuff, and we are going to be very careful about which American stuff we are talking about, because boy howdy, is there some bad stuff. If you look at his filmography, there is some very weak sauce in it.
yeah. We're not doing Windtalkers. We're not doing Paycheck. Um, thank God.
I cannot believe that he
But the
directed.
reason, well, the reason I picked this in particular is because I had watched it on Tubi back in September, and I was astonished at how like the script is bad, but it's like John Woo doing his best as he can, right, with what he has, and it makes Jean Claude Van Damme actually look passable in some of the scenes as an actor, surprisingly, for doing the whole stoic man with no name gimmick, because that's basically what this movie is in New
I
Orleans.
mean, my
So
thing
yeah,
is like I look at I saw Silent Night in theaters, and I was like, this is hot garbage. Like I was so disappointed because I was like I was excited to see a John Woo movie in theaters, and boy oh boy, it did not work out. We will never talk about that movie probably because I'm not watching it again. We are not going to discuss the Killer remake as we discussed last week. We're going to focus on his early work in America.
yeah, and there's one scene in particular that's pretty badass that reminds me of the fire stuff from his previous
Yeah,
movies. Because Lance Hendrickson literally is on fire for a good 15 seconds on film, and it's a legit, it's real, and it's a shoot, and the way he acts, man, he acts like it was nothing. So you got to watch the scene I'm talking about. It's incredible, and it's stupid, but it's incredible.
yeah, and we're gonna have some interesting behind the scenes stuff as well that we're gonna talk about. So I'm very excited for that as well. And that's about it for this week. So for Brian, my name is Jerome. Thank you so much for listening. We will continue our Woovember next week.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention too.